Module 2, Writing Fundamentals. This module covers the fundamentals of writing, including grammar, punctuation, and sentence structure. You will learn how to write clear and concise sentences and paragraphs, and how to avoid common writing mistakes. Welcome to the Writing Fundamentals module of the Writing with Flair, How to Become an Exceptional Writer course. In this module, we will cover the basics of writing, including grammar, punctuation, and sentence structure. Whether you are an experienced writer or just starting out, it is essential to have a good understanding of the fundamentals of writing. These basics form the foundation of all writing, and getting them right can greatly improve the clarity and effectiveness of your writing. In this module, we will cover the following topics. Grammar. This includes parts of speech, verb tenses, subject-verb agreement, and other grammatical rules. Punctuation. This includes the use of commas, periods, semicolons, and other punctuation marks to convey meaning and clarity. Sentence structure. This includes the use of subject, predicate, clauses, and phrases to construct clear and concise sentences. 1. Grammar. 1. Parts of speech. Parts of speech are the basic categories of words in language, which include nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, pronouns, prepositions, conjunctions, and interjections. Each part of speech plays a specific role in sentence structure and meaning. Parts of speech are the basic building blocks of grammar that are used to construct sentences. There are 8 parts of speech. Noun. A noun is a word that names a person, place, thing, or idea. Examples: cat, beach, love, John. Pronoun. A pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun. Examples: he, she, it, they. Adjective. An adjective is a word that describes a noun or pronoun. Examples: happy, blue, call, expensive. Verb. A verb is a word that expresses an action, occurrence, or state of being. Examples: run, eat, sleep, is. Adverb. An adverb is a word that modifies a verb, adjective, or other adverb. Examples: quickly, very, happily, extremely. Preposition. A preposition is a word that shows the relationship between a noun or pronoun and other words in a sentence. Examples: in, on, at, under. Conjunction. A conjunction is a word that connects words, phrases, or clauses. Examples: and, or, but, because. Interjection. An interjection is a word or phrase used to express strong emotion or surprise. Examples: wow, ouch, hey. Understanding the parts of speech and how they function in sentences is crucial for effective writing, as it allows you to create clear and grammatically correct sentences. 2. Verb tenses. Verb tenses indicate the time when an action takes place, whether in the past, present, or future. There are 3 main verb tenses: past, present, and future. Each tense has simple, progressive, perfect, and perfect progressive forms. Verb tenses refer to the different forms of verbs that are used to indicate when an action occurred or will occur. There are 3 main verb tenses. Present tense. This tense is used to describe actions that are currently happening or general truths. Example: I am writing a book. Past tense. This tense is used to describe actions that have already happened. Example: yesterday, I wrote a chapter for my book. Future tense. This tense is used to describe actions that will happen in the future. Example: tomorrow, I will start writing my next chapter. Within each tense, There are also different forms of the verb to indicate nuances of time, such as present continuous, I am writing, past perfect, I had written, or future perfect, I will have written. Choosing the appropriate verb tense is important for conveying the intended meaning and maintaining consistency in writing. It's also important to be aware of irregular verbs that don't follow regular patterns and may require memorization of their forms. 3. Subject-verb agreement. Subject-verb agreement refers to the grammatical agreement between the subject and verb in a sentence. The subject and verb must agree in number, singular or plural. For example, he runs is correct because he is a singular subject and runs is the singular verb that agrees with it. In contrast, they runs is incorrect because they is a plural subject and runs is a singular verb. Subject-verb agreement refers to the rule that the verb used in a sentence must agree in number and person with the subject of the sentence. In other words, if the subject of the sentence is singular, the verb must also be in its singular form, and if the subject is plural, the verb must be in its plural form. For example, in the sentence, the cat runs, the subject cat is singular, so the verb runs is also in its singular form. But in the sentence, the cats run, the subject cats is plural, so the verb run is in its plural form. Sometimes, subject-verb agreement can be tricky, especially in more complex sentences with multiple subjects or subjects separated from the verb by other words or phrases. However, following this rule is important for clarity and coherence in writing. Additionally, be careful to match the tense of the verb to the tense of the subject. If the subject is in the present tense, use a present tense verb, and if the subject is in the past tense, use a past tense verb. 4. Other grammatical rules. Other grammatical rules include things like punctuation, sentence structure, and use of modifiers, such as adjectives and adverbs. These rules help to clarify meaning and make your writing more effective. In addition to subject-verb agreement, there are many other important grammatical rules that writers should be aware of in order to write clearly and effectively. Some of these include: 1. Pronoun agreement. Similar to subject-verb agreement, pronoun agreement requires that the pronoun used in a sentence match the number, gender, and person of the noun it is replacing. For example, in the sentence, she gave him the book, the pronoun she agrees with the singular female noun she, and the pronoun him agrees with the singular male noun him. 2. Parallelism. Parallelism refers to the use of consistent grammatical structures within a sentence or paragraph. This can include using the same tense, form, or structure for a series of words or phrases. For example, she liked hiking, swimming, and running uses parallelism because all three verbs are in the same ing form. 3. Modifiers. Modifiers are words or phrases that describe or provide additional information about another word in a sentence. It's important to use modifiers correctly so that they are placed next to the word they are describing. For example, in the sentence, the boy with the red hat ran, with the red hat is a modifier describing boy. 4. Prepositions. Prepositions are words that show the relationship between nouns and other words in a sentence. They are important for understanding meaning and can affect the grammar of a sentence. For example, the cat is on the mat uses the preposition on to show the relationship between cat and mat. 5. Active versus passive voice. Active voice is used when the subject of the sentence performs the action of the verb, while passive voice is used when the subject receives the action of the verb. Active voice is usually preferred in writing because it is more direct and engaging. For example, the dog chased the ball is in active voice, while the ball was chased by the dog is in passive voice. 2. Punctuation. This includes the use of commas, periods, semicolons, and other punctuation marks to convey meaning and clarity. Certainly, punctuation marks are essential in written communication to convey meaning and clarity. Here is a brief explanation of some common punctuation marks. 1. Comma. Commas are used to separate items in a list, join independent clauses, and set off non-essential information within a sentence. For example, I need to buy apples, bananas, and oranges. She went to the store, and she bought some milk. My dog, a golden retriever, loves to play fetch. The comma, is a punctuation mark used to indicate a pause or separation of words or phrases within a sentence. Some common uses of commas include separating items in a list, I need to buy apples, bananas, and oranges. Separating clauses in a sentence, she studied hard for the test, but she still failed. Setting off introductory words or phrases, in the morning, I like to go for a run. Separating adjectives that modify the same noun, the tall, dark, and handsome man walked by. Setting off non-essential information, my sister, who lives in California, is visiting next week. However, it's important to use commas appropriately as overusing or underusing them can affect the clarity and meaning of a sentence. 2. Period. Periods are used to indicate the end of a sentence. They are also used in abbreviations. For example, I like to read books. Do you? Dr. Smith will see you now. The period, also known as a full stop, is a punctuation mark used to indicate the end of a sentence. Its main purpose is to signal the reader to pause briefly before moving on to the next sentence. Some common uses of periods include: at the end of a declarative sentence, I am going to the store. At the end of an imperative sentence, please pass the salt. After an abbreviation, the US is a country in North America. After a number that indicates the end of a sentence, my address is 123 Main Street. It's important to note that periods should not be used after sentence fragments, such as in headlines or bullet points, as they are not complete sentences. 3. Semicolon, winking smiley. Semicolons are used to join two independent clauses that are closely related in meaning. They can also be used to separate items in a list when the items themselves contain commas. For example, she was tired, she decided to go to bed early. The conference included attendees from New York, NY, Los Angeles, CA, and Miami, FL. The semicolon, winking smiley is a punctuation mark that is often used to join two closely related independent clauses, complete sentences, without the use of a coordinating conjunction like and or but. Here are some examples of using a semicolon to connect two independent clauses. I have a big exam tomorrow. I need to study all night. She loves to read. Her favorite genre is historical fiction. I want to go to the beach this weekend, however, I have too much work to do. Semicolons can also be used in lists to separate items that themselves contain commas. In this case, the semicolon helps to avoid confusion with the commas used within the items themselves. For example, I have lived in many cities, including New York, NY, Chicago, IL, and San Francisco, CA. It's important to use semicolons appropriately and sparingly, as they can be misused and lead to confusing or awkward sentences. 4. Happy smiley colons are used to introduce a list or explanation. For example, there are 3 things I need from the store: milk, bread, and eggs. I have a surprise for you. We're going to Hawaii. A happy smiley is a punctuation mark that is used to introduce a list, explanation, or further details. Here are some examples of using a colon. I have 3 favorite things in life: reading, writing, and traveling. There is only one thing left to do: start writing. I have a message for you: don't give up on your dreams. In these examples, the colon is used to introduce a list of favorite things, an action to take, and a message to convey. A colon can also be used to introduce a long quotation or speech, as well as to separate titles and subtitles in writing. It's important to use colons appropriately and sparingly, as they can be misused and lead to confusing or awkward sentences. 5. Exclamation points are used to express strong emotions or emphasis. For example, I can't believe I won the lottery. An exclamation point is a punctuation mark that is used to indicate strong emotion, such as surprise, excitement, or emphasis. It is typically used at the end of a sentence or phrase to convey a sense of urgency or intensity. Here are some examples of using an exclamation point. I can't believe it. What a beautiful day. I'm so excited to see you. In these examples, the exclamation point is used to convey surprise, appreciation, and excitement. It's important to use exclamation points judiciously, as overuse can make writing seem overly dramatic or unprofessional. It's best to reserve them for situations where strong emotion is being expressed or emphasized, and to limit their use to avoid diluting their impact. 6. Question marks are used to indicate a question. For example, what time is it? Do you like pizza? A question mark is a punctuation mark that is used at the end of a sentence to indicate a question or to show that the writer is unsure of something. Here are some examples of using a question mark. What time is it? Are you coming to the party tonight? I'm not sure if I can make it to the meeting tomorrow. In these examples, the question mark is used to indicate that a question is being asked or to show uncertainty. It's important to use question marks correctly to ensure that your writing is clear and easy to understand. Make sure to use a question mark at the end of a sentence when asking a direct question, and use it sparingly when indicating uncertainty or doubt. There are many other punctuation marks, each with their own specific usage. In the Writing with Flair course, you'll learn more about punctuation and how to use it effectively to convey meaning and clarity in your writing. 3. Sentence structure. This includes the use of subject, predicate, clauses, and phrases to construct clear and concise sentences. 1. Subject. The subject of a sentence is the person, place, thing, or idea that the sentence is about. It typically comes before the predicate, the action or state of being. For example, in the sentence, the cat sat on the mat, cat is the subject. In writing, a sentence is a group of words that expresses a complete thought. The subject of a sentence is the noun, pronoun, or noun phrase that performs the action of the verb in the sentence. Here are some examples of sentences with their subjects. Mary went to the store. The subject is Mary. The dog barked at the mailman. The subject is the dog. My favorite book is To Kill a Mockingbird. The subject is my favorite book. It's important to identify the subject of a sentence in order to understand what the sentence is about and to ensure that the verb agrees in number with the subject. In addition, varying sentence structure by changing the placement of the subject can help to make writing more interesting and engaging for readers. 2. Predicate. The predicate of a sentence is the action or state of being that the subject is doing or experiencing. It typically comes after the subject. For example, in the sentence, the cat sat on the mat is the predicate. The predicate is the part of a sentence that provides information about the subject. It usually includes a verb and may also include other elements like objects or complements. The predicate is essential in conveying the complete meaning of a sentence. For example, in the sentence John eats pizza is the predicate. It tells us what John is doing, which is eating pizza. Without the predicate, the sentence would be incomplete and would not convey a full thought. The predicate can be simple or complex, depending on the structure of the sentence. Simple predicates consist of only a verb, while complex predicates can include multiple verbs, objects, or complements. For instance, in the sentence John is eating pizza and watching TV, is eating pizza and watching TV is the complex predicate, consisting of the verbs is eating and watching along with the objects pizza and TV. 3. Clauses. Clauses are groups of words that contain a subject and a predicate. There are two types of clauses: independent clauses, also known as main clauses, and dependent clauses, also known as subordinate clauses. An independent clause can stand on its own as a complete sentence, while a dependent clause cannot. For example, I went to the store is an independent clause, while because I needed to buy milk is a dependent clause. A clause is a group of words that contains both a subject and a predicate. Clauses can be either independent or dependent. An independent clause, also known as a main clause, can stand alone as a complete sentence. For example, she went to the store. A dependent clause, also known as a subordinate clause, cannot stand alone as a complete sentence and is dependent on an independent clause. For example, because she was hungry, she went to the store. The dependent clause because she was hungry relies on the independent clause she went to the store to make a complete sentence. 4. Phrases. Phrases are groups of words that function as a single unit within a sentence. They do not contain a subject and a predicate like clauses do. There are many different types of phrases, including noun phrases, verb phrases, and prepositional phrases. For example, in the sentence, the cat sat on the mat is a prepositional phrase. In writing, a phrase is a group of related words that does not contain a subject and a verb. It acts as a single part of speech and can be used to modify or add meaning to a sentence. Phrases can be categorized in different ways, depending on their structure and function in a sentence. One common type of phrase is the noun phrase, which consists of a noun and any words that modify or describe it. For example, in the sentence, the big brown dog barked loudly, the big brown dog is a noun phrase. Another type of phrase is the prepositional phrase, which begins with a preposition and includes a noun or pronoun, the object of the preposition, and any modifiers. For example, in the sentence, she walked to the store is a prepositional phrase. Other types of phrases include the adjective phrase, the adverb phrase, and the participial phrase, among others. Understanding how to use phrases effectively can help writers create sentences that are clear, concise, and well-structured. By understanding the roles of subject, predicate, clauses, and phrases, you can construct clear and concise sentences that effectively convey your meaning. In the Writing with Flair course, you'll learn more about how to use these grammatical concepts to improve your writing.